What's going on, guys? This is Jack, coach of the Wenatchee Wobbuffets, bringing you our team builder for week 3 of the LSBA season 4. This week we are facing Jacob and the Port Angeles Teddiursas, whose team you can see over on the left-hand side, which consists of Florges, Lorantis, Dusclops, Darmanitan, Pukamuku, Ditto, Alolan Raichu, Sandslash, Crobat, Electrode, and Mega Heracross. He has a very interesting team, and as opposed to like other matchups, I can see him bringing basically any Mon that he has on his roster against us. There are a couple ones that are less likely to bring, such as less likely to bring Lurantis or Electrode. However, like Lurantis can be a very uh, deadly setup sweeper with that contrary Leaf Storm. And Electrode is a very fast electric type, being able to outspeed a lot of my team, even choice Scarf users, or otherwise at +1. So, like I said, he has a huge lineup, and although some Mons are more likely for him to bring, he could basically bring any of his 11 Mons and have a good matchup with those. The ones I think he's going to bring, he is 100% bringing Ditto. I just have like a Manaphy that sets up Tail Glows. I have a Mew that can set up Nasty Plots. I have an Infernape that can set up Swords Dances and Nasty Plots. I have a Tyrantrum that can set up Dragon Dances. And he really needs something that can make sure that can counter those setup sweepers, which is of course his Ditto. So, like I said, Ditto is basically 110% coming. I really think he's going to bring the Florges because it's a very good special wall. It checks a lot of my threats pretty nicely, and of course, a defensive fairy is always nice to have. I'm really expecting Choice Scarf Darmanitan just because it outspeeds my entire team, barring a Choice Scarf Infernape, and then just Wreck Shop with Flare Blitz. I do not have basically any good Flare Blitz switch-ins. So I definitely think that mon's going to coming because, like I said, like nothing can switch on it, and every time it comes in, something dies. Dusclops is also a very interesting choice. It's a very bulky mon, can pain split away, it walls a good chunk of my team. And then after that, like Alolan Raichu is also a good pick as a fast electric type. Same with Electrode. He's probably not going to bring both of them, just one or the other. I'm thinking Alolan Raichu rather than Electrode, and Mega Heracross is also a very good bring. But like I said, any of those mons can come, and so I have to make sure I am prepped for all of them. So to start off my team builder, as you see here, I am bringing my Nidoking. I am bringing a physically offensive Nidoking, and I have a very interesting spread. I don't have any ground coverage. For one, because I didn't really feel like I needed it. The only mons that I would want ground coverage for is Darmanitan, which of course outspeeds me and destroys me, so I'm not going to want to stay in on that anyways. And the electric types. However, the electric types are frail enough that a poison jab is going to do the job anyways, so I don't really need the ground coverage. However, the real reason I didn't want the ground coverage is so that Doublade actually walls my Nidoking. So, kind of like I said earlier, the Ditto is for sure coming, and it is going to. And a Nidoking is like a perfect mon to be able to copy, get a choice scarf from, and then hit back. So my thinking is I have a Nidoking, he sends in his Ditto, which is of course then faster than me because it is scarfed, and then I can switch into Doublade. Either he locks himself into Poison Jab or into Ice Punch, which of course Doublade is either immune to or resists, or he locks himself into Toxic Spikes or Sucker Punch. If he locks himself into an unfavorable move against Doublade, I have here the Pursuit, which of course then traps the Ditto and does around 50% on the switch out. So my thinking there is, he copies my Nidoking, I switch into Doublade, and I get some nice chip damage on that to make sure that thing is out of the way. So yeah, these two kind of go in tandem together. Other than that, Nidoking is basically here to tear some holes in the team. The reason I wanted to go physical is so that I can hit the Florges on obviously the physical side because it's not a very good defensive mon. It's more of a especially defensive mon. And then I also wanted the Sucker Punch here to be able to take on a Alolan Raichu, which can otherwise pick me off pretty nicely. Doublade is here, of course, doing its job. Just walls a good chunk of his team. It can take a hit from Mega Heracross, even an Earthquake, and hit it back pretty hardly. It, of course, can take on the Florges and stuff like that. Alolan Raichu. Crobat, it was Crobat completely, unless he's like a nasty plot Heat Wave set, which I don't think he'll bring. You guys just know I love Doublade, and it just walls so many things really nicely. The next one I am bringing is a Mega Blastoise, more of a defensive set here to help me check Darmanitan. And then Water Pulse, Dark Pulse is there for like the Dusclops and Alolan Raichu. Ice Beam there for Crobat mostly, and then Rapid Spin as well. Blastoise is my Rapid Spinner, my hazard removal this week. I'm not bringing Mew or Zapdos, so if it does look like he is bringing his own hazards, I gotta make sure that Blastoise is nice and healthy. But mostly Blastoise is here as a Darmanitan check. Of course, unfortunately, Blastoise does not get any recovery, and it will start to get worn down after taking a few Flare Blitzes. So I just got to make sure I can play this rather well. The next one I am bringing is an Assault Vest Shaman with Giga Drain, Air Slash, Earth Power, and Psychic. I have enough speed EVs here to make sure I outspeed a Jolly max speed Heracross, and then of course Air Slash can OHKO it. Earth Power is here mostly for the Darmanitan. Of course, I don't want to take a hit, as well as the Alolan Raichu, and then Giga Drain for like Pyukumuku, and of course Stab and HP recovery. Pretty standard set. Mostly there for the Alolan Raichu to be able to make sure I can take hits from that. Otherwise, Alolan Raichu can kind of wreck through my team. I don't have many checks to that mon, so I really got to make sure that Shaman remains healthy if that mon does end up coming. My fifth mon here is the Infernape. I believe thus far in the first 2 weeks, Infernape is the only mon that I have not yet brought to a match, so this will be the first match that I'm using an Infernape. With U-Turn, Flare Blitz, Gunk Shot, and Mach Punch. I didn't really need the fighting coverage this week. I think the only mon I would want fire coverage against is the Darmanitan. But that's a pretty frail mon anyways, and it's not really going to want to take a Gunk Shot. So I didn't really need that. I preferred Mach Punch just so I can get priority damage on the Scarf Darmanitan, or in order to pick stuff off, pick off other weakened threats. And then Poisonium Z, Gunk Shot in order to make sure to get rid of that Florges. And then U-Turn, of course, for momentum and be able to switch around my mons. And the last mon I have here is a Habanberry Dragon Dance Tyrantrum. So going back to the Ditto, obviously, like I said earlier, the pursuit does only about 40 to 50% on the switch out for Ditto, which of course does not kill it outright. So if I get a Dragon Dance up with Tyrantrum, or even 2 Dragon Dances up, Ditto then comes in and copies me. And as long as I'm at full HP, a Dragon Claw with the Habanberry, which halves the damage from Dragon type moves, even if I'm at +2, does not kill myself. So like he comes in with Ditto, he is of course faster with the Choice Scarf. He goes for Dragon Claw. I can take it with the Habanberry, and then of course he does not have the Habanberry, and I kill him with my own Dragon Claw. And I can live both up at +1 and +2 from the copy Ditto stats, and then the Ditto cannot live my +1 or +2 Dragon Claw. And then of course, once I get to +1, I outspeed the majority of his team. I think the only mon I don't outspeed at +1 is Electrode, and of course other choice scarf mons that he may have. At +2, I do outspeed the Electrode and almost everything, including Scarfers, unless he brings like a Scarf Electrode, which would be weird. And of course, I would not outspeed Mega Heracross after Tailwind. If the Heracross is under Tailwind. So yeah, that is my team. Um, this could go either well or badly. I do not have any recovery barring Giga Drain on this team. Like no one's even holding a leftovers, which is very strange for me. Usually I have at least one mon with some form of recovery. So there's definitely a much more offensive team than I usually bring, which could, like I said, could either go really well or really badly. Um, Jacob has a very interesting team, a very interesting matchup, and this is going to be a really fun match. Thanks for tuning in, guys.